Hey guys, welcome back to the Tukes and Tires YouTube channel. As always, I'm Zach, and this week we're painting my old man's 57 Chevy Wagon. Come on, Dad, pull her out.
Hey, is that Timmy's?
Yeah, because we're in Canada. Alright guys, so you already heard what we're trying to accomplish in today's video, but if you haven't seen this thing, this is my old man's 57 Chevy Wagon. It's been on and off the channel a little bit. Basically, whenever Dad gets some work done on it, we do a video. So he's got it to the point where we're ready to throw some paint onto this thing. So if you're new here, basically this thing, it's got a 6.2 all aluminum LS in it, and it's got a 4L80 transmission. The whole underneath of this thing has been redone. It's got tubular control arms and a Camaro rear end, so it's going to be a sweet little rig once it's done. But we'll just walk you around and show you what's going on with this thing. So basically, we're going to be painting it black. There might be some more paint that's going to go on it later off, but we just need a base of black to start with. So basically we can maybe just start driving this thing. It's not going to be anything fancy. It's going to be a really cheap paint job. It's literally going to be painted here in the shop. So we got a couple warm days, so we're hoping that today that we can get this thing kind of all scuffed up and masked off, and then tomorrow is supposed to be warmer till today. We're in fall right now, so you know we got to get this thing painted before the cold weather comes. So you can see that basically we got most of the things shot black that are going to be behind stuff. So the firewall, all that's already painted black, and Dad came in here and painted behind the doors all black already, and all the sills and the door jambs and all that. So all we got to do is do the outside coat on it, and basically if there's any other spots that we find, we're just going to touch it up with a rattle can. So we got just some spots to sand up yet from like overspray that came out here. We're just going to use Scotch-Brite on that. And if you don't know what Scotch-Brite is, it's that little red pad stuff there. It's like finer than sandpaper, but it's enough to scratch up the surface to make the paint stick. So right now what we're going to do is me and Dad, we're going to sand this thing up just a little bit more. And then we're going to clean up the roof, going to maybe use some water and some stuff, and then we'll come back to once we're actually going to be masking this thing up with some paper. So let's get after it. Fine work you're doing there, Dad.
Yeah. All right.
Lacey always here helping. Huh? There you go. Looking snazzy. Alright, so we got the wagon basically scuffed up to where we like it. Dad found one spot on the roof in the back he didn't like, so he just touched that up. So we're just waiting on that to actually clean the rest of this thing. But while we wait on that drying, I thought I'd show you what we're going to be using to actually clean and spray this thing. So for the majority of the dust, we're just going to use just a rag, just dampen it with some water to get the majority of the dust off. And then we're going to be using this wax and grease remover mild. This is basically like a final wipe, but they don't sell final wipe anymore, at least the paint supply store that I go to. So this is what they sold me. It seems to work pretty good, and it dries up pretty nicely. And then for painting this thing, we just have this DeVelvis gun. We've actually painted a couple cars with this thing before we started the YouTube channel. It seems to work out pretty good, so we seem to like that one. And then just for painting it, we're actually just going to use this Duplicolor ready-to-shoot paint. We buy this stuff at Canadian Tire, but you can probably buy it at most paint places if you want to. It seems to shoot out pretty nicely. We just reduce it with some acetone. It seems to come out a little bit better and helps it dry a little bit faster. So Dad's got a whole thing mixed up here in this big can. These things are about 60 bucks Canadian to buy, so I don't know what that works out to Bald Eagles, but it's not too bad when you only have to buy like 4 or 5 of these to shoot a whole car. So that's what we're going to be doing. It's pretty simple. We're just going to fire up the compressor. We do have a regulator that we're going to regulate it down, obviously, with the pressure, and then we'll get to spraying this thing. So we're going to wait on that paint primer stuff to dry back there, and then we'll get to cleaning and masking this thing off, and then we're gonna actually shoot some paint on it. So that's, you know, that's gonna be exciting. Rub-a-dub-dub in the tub, just wiping her down. Man, look at that roof though. That metallic in there, that's looking fancy.
Metallic.
Man. And Lacey. Alright guys, so we finished wiping this thing all down. It's actually the next day, and you saw us get all this all papered up. So Dad's actually been testing out his spray pattern on the front here, so we're going to get you guys set up. Dad's ready to go, and you know, hopefully we don't get too many flies in the paint, so wish us luck. Here we go. Alright guys, so it's the next day. We finished painting up the wagon last night and it's looking pretty sweet. So Dad's gonna fire it up and pull it out for the first time. So here we go. Dad, fire her up, rip her out. Oh, backfire. Technical difficulties. Come on. Wow, look at that. Turned out pretty wicked. We got a little bit of backfiring issue just because it gets damp every now and then, but man, looks really good. Can't wait till we get some trim on it and put some windows in it. This thing's gonna be, it's gonna be a unit.
Good, man.
Yeah. I mean, not bad for just spraying in the barn with how many flies were in there last night. Man, there was like, so we got a light above there, and obviously we had the door closed, and there was just flies like swarming all over the top of this thing. So, I mean, the roof turned out pretty good for that. We had to, we used a tack cloth in between coats, so we would let it dry a little bit, and then we would go and use a tack cloth to wipe the bugs off. But, you know, it's not too bad, you know. I think we can live with that, but I think that's gonna be it for this video. The wagon turned out really awesome. We'll probably show some more maybe in a shop update. Dad wants to get the windows into it, and he's gonna put the trim on it, so maybe once he gets that done and we film a shop update, this thing is gonna look a little bit more put together. But I gotta say, for how cheap this paint job was, it turned out pretty wicked. But comment down below what we should have done differently, or if you liked our process with this. You know, hopefully Dad next year will be driving this thing. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. And as always, don't forget to salute the beaver. We'll catch you next time.